If you are a Malayali male under 50, chances are very high that a viewing of the iconic film Avalude Ravacolor Nights was part of your rite of passage to adulthood. It told the story of a girl pushed into the flesh trade at an early age and her resolve to escape the difficult circumstances of her life. The film had ample doses of skin show and titillation, but it also held up a mirror to social realities, gender relations, class divides and teenage sexuality. Avalude Ravakal made its lead actor, Seema, a sex symbol in Kerala. But it was the film's director, IV Sasi, who left an indelible mark on Malayalam cinema, and perhaps the Malayali psyche. Such was the oeuvre and the breadth of themes that Sasi, who passed away in Chennai on Tuesday, tackled. Quantitatively too, Sasi had few peers, helming nearly 150 films, perhaps a world record between 1975 and 1995, followed by the inevitable slide that most prolific and gifted artists cannot elude. IV Sasi's biggest achievement was the courage to experiment with new themes just when viewers would notice recurring patterns in his films. His style of filmmaking was also a novelty for Kerala viewers of those times who had begun to notice how filmmakers and actors in other languages like Ramesh Sippy, Salim Havid, Manmohan Desai, Amitabh Bachchan and T.N. Balachandar were rewriting the rules of commercial cinema and fusing it with energy, machismo and dynamic camera work. Sasi took note of these developments and upped the game on his own terms through collaborations with some of the best Malayalam scriptwriters of the 70s, 80s and 90s, Mount Vasudevan Nair, Padmarajan, T. Damodaran, John Paul, A.K. Lohidadas, and Ranjith. In actors like Jayan, Mammootty and Mohanlal he found that raw masculinity which defined the male protagonists in Indian potboilers of the 1970s and 80s. In Itha Avid Ver, a commercial success which predated Avalude Ravakal, Padmarajan and Sasi set up one of the first revenge dramas in Malayalam, a theme that inspired many subsequent films, and is hence considered a classic. Yetta, the romantic love triangle with steamy scenes, soon followed Avalude Ravakal, but Sasi then filmed the Malayalam Tamil bilingual fantasy on the Arabian Night story of Aladdin and the Magic Lamp with Kamal Haasan and Rajnikanth. In Angadi 1980, another recurrent theme in Sasi films first showed up: militant trade unionism, crony capitalism, and their pernicious effects on Kerala society. Many of these films with political themes like Inadu, Adamakal Udamakal, Abkari, Arhatha and Apartha also did well commercially. These captured the churn in Kerala society, the lack of jobs, the despair of industrialists, the lives of the working class and criminalization of society. Sasi then competently handled adolescent love and teenage sexuality in Aina, which he admitted was inspired by the Hollywood classic Blue Lagoon. 8 years later, in 1990, Sasi made Aksharatha 2 spelling mistake, inspired from Fatal Attraction, on an extramarital affair gone wrong. Though a money spinner, it lacked the finesse of his earlier films that dealt with sexuality and relationships, or the edginess of the Hollywood original. Many of Sasi's commercial films were also deeply problematic for their depictions of gender violence and misogyny. Take Varthamanakalam, where a woman is subject to repeated sexual assaults, which are portrayed rather graphically and dramatically. But for a man who spent much of the 80s shuttling between film sets, reportedly juggling even 10 movies at one time, such nuances were perhaps lost in the imperative to make commercially viable products for the mass market he was now catering to. Sasi's interpretation of the Mopla Rebellion in 1921 will, perhaps, remain his best cinematic work. 1921 was shot on a wide canvas with hundreds of actors and required to be dealt with sensitively considering the communal passions that the event evinces in Malabar. My personal favorites, however, are his collaborations with MT and Mohanlal in Uyarangalil and Mammootty and Lohidadas in Marigaya. In Uyarangalil, Mohanlal plays a scheming upstart who clinically eliminates all those standing in his way to usurp an estate from a young widow. Marigaya told the tale of a village tucked away in the Western Ghats terrorized by a man-eating leopard and the arrival of a hunter. His films like Avanazi, Inspector Balram and Devasaram created a new alpha male protagonist whose aggression and machismo the Malayali film viewer embraced with equal gusto. Films on the Avanaja Devasaram template continue to be made to this day, a reflection of Sasi's ability to gauge audience preferences, and remain relevant in the 1975 to 1995 period, which is often referred to as a golden age in Malayalam cinema. Sasi's last film, a commercial disaster, released in 2009, around the same time a new generation wave picked up steam in Malayalam cinema, combining global influences with local realities. When Sasi started out, it was a period where disillusionment had set in among young people over Kerala's economic prospects. Films with social messages had run their course, and a generation of aging directors and actors kept dishing out melodrama, titillation and moralizing in equal measure. Sasi showed the courage to experiment and opened up new possibilities for commercial cinema. Most of his films may appear dated today, but I am certain that at least 4 or 5 among them will stand the test of time in Kerala. Even that is a phenomenal number by cinema standards. Disclaimer: views expressed above are the author's own.